Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. In 1972, Gordon Parks Jr. created Superfly, a movie that had a Curtis Mayfield soundtrack that is probably still the greatest soundtrack to this day. Now, in 2018, we've got a new Superfly, and he's moved from the alleys of 1970s New York City to the neon-lit strip joints, trap houses, and furniture stores of Atlanta. Let's take a look.
You literally could have taken any kid off the corner, but you chose me. Why?
These fools in the streets acting like they got something to prove. They only want to hustle for the money and the flash. But not you. You're special.
Welcome to Atlanta. We've got everything you could ever want. Culture, style, and of course, music. But if you look deeper, there's a whole other side you've never seen before. Freeze! Welcome to my world. I've been working these streets since I was 11. Gave people jobs when there were no jobs. I swapped cash for crypto and redefined the hustle. I choose my crew wisely. Scatter, that's my mentor.
I know you miss your favorite student.
Miss kicking your ass.
Georgia, she's my inspiration.
You can be whatever you want to be.
And Eddie, that's my soul.
Everything is moving smooth like butter. Preach, you a genius.
You've been operating under the radar. All of that's about to change.
Call an ambulance, you take it to the hospital.
You know there's a difference between getting out and being pushed out.
This new crew, they have cartel connections. And they're coming after everything we have and everyone we love.
What's the play here?
One last score is so big that we will never have to look over our shoulder again. But we have to go to the source.
If we do this, there's no going back.
Never was.
I know who you are, priest. Abandon our business? That's unacceptable.
I promise I'm gonna take care of you.
We stick to the plan.
What plan? We black men ain't nowhere safe. Come on, let's take a drive.
Everybody from Superfly, please welcome Jason Mitchell, Director X, and Superfly himself, Trevor Jackson.
How y'all feel? How y'all feel?
What's going on? What's going on?
What's up? What's up?
It looks awesome every time. The trailer makes me excited.
What's up, guys? Thanks so much for being here. Congratulations on the movie. I got the chance to see it this week. It's so fantastic. You did a great job updating the original. I mean,
Thank you.
There's a lot to update on the original. I think I was doing some research, and I think the budget on the original was like less than $500,000.
It's like 60 grand.
Was it really 60 grand? I thought that was
Crazy
a
like
rumor. That's
No,
insane.
60 grand.
So what were the first things that you wanted to update outside of, updating the time, but what were you thinking about after you watched the first and you went into making this?
I mean, when we got the story, my main concern was actually being true to the original. It wasn't what are we going to change, it's what are we going to keep the same. So we took the movie and really broke it down. Who are the characters? What happens to them? I felt it was important that that story remains. Like I compare it to Shakespeare. I call it Hood Shakespeare. Like if you're doing Romeo and Juliet, you got two groups of people who don't get along. They could be families or corporations or street. It doesn't matter. Two groups of people don't get along. Two people from those groups fall in love. A curse on both your houses. Tragic end. So long as you've done that, you've done Romeo and Juliet. So we took that philosophy and gave it to Superfly. What has to happen? Who has to be there? What are the key moments of that film? And once we had figured that out, then we could change things. Then we could update things. But we're always coming from a place of reverence of the original movie. So that's why it feels like Superfly. It is Superfly, but it's something new.
What brought you to Atlanta?
Atlanta's the Harlem of the day. Back in the day, Harlem, if you had a big record in Harlem, you had a big record around the world. If you were a big drug dealer in Harlem, you're a big drug dealer. Like the world knew Nicky Barnes was on the cover of magazines. So in Atlanta, you have that same thing going on. Big records in Atlanta are worldwide hits. BMF was a big drug dealing crew that was world famous. Like we all know that name. They talk about them in rap songs. So Atlanta today really has the global power that Harlem once had.
Trevor, what was it like playing a new Superfly?
It was an honor, man. Of course, you know, it's a little nerve-wracking at first, but I think, yeah, I just tried to find the balance of somebody that I wanted to be friends with, but was also scared of in a way. I just kind of love Priest's morality. I think he's in this world where all of these people abide by the rules of the streets, and he abides by his own rules. He doesn't like to kill, and he's just very methodical and well planned out, and I feel like that's why he's the best at what he does.
Where did the look come from? Because it's different than the original. Obviously, you have to be different than the original, but I really do think it captures the spirit of the original and how people talked about that character in the original movie.
Absolutely. No, it was me, X, and Joel. We kept going back and forth. And when Curly was straight, I was like, braids, like, definitely no braids. I was like, all right, well, let's just try and figure out a way. And then, but I always feel like whenever you do something, a remake or a redefining of something, you want the essence of the original. And I think the coolest thing about that movie, the original, is that this guy's out here beating people up and is a drug dealer and has straight hair. It's just like, how often do you see that? So it was just cool.
He defines himself. He separates himself
absolutely.
from the way that everybody else
So
looks.
that's why the straight I feel like was the best way to go. The little part in there, I think it turned out sick.
Yeah, it looks great. It's a cool look. I can't pull it. I wish I could pull it.
You can. You kind of got it going on right now, actually. There you go.
You kind of got the look.
Shot. Just the glasses. I can't get rid of the glasses. You know, I can't
Contacts.
I can't do it.
They hurt your
Let's
eyes?
not get into it. Let's stick to the movie here.
It's a long story.
Jason, you're kind of like the best friend / henchman. Not really henchman here. Sort of partner in crime. What was it? What was it like taking on this character?
For me, I just wanted to kind of capture who Eddie really was, which was somebody really loyal to Priest, somebody really, like, he has a lot of integrity, but he also is sort of a wild card. Like, if Priest didn't teach him how to sell drugs, he might potentially be on him kind of guy, you know what I mean? But
Also has his own big ideas as well, which can get in the way.
right. But in the original film, they were somewhat of the same height, you know what I mean? Priest was just a prettier version, you know, but the juxtaposition between us in height is just such a thing that, like, I was like, you know, I could kind of go Joe Pesci on this a little bit. You know what I mean? And just kind of lose it a little bit. You know, kind of had that Napoleon complex kind of feel to the character, which was cool. But at the same time,
Sort of always desperately trying to prove himself a little bit.
right. But X was open to me just sort of being myself in the role as well, you know what I mean? Because this is the first time that I didn't have to drop the New Orleans accent, that I didn't, you know what I mean? I could just bring a lot more of myself to the role, which was cool.
Now, moving the film from New York to Atlanta, obviously you're going to be capturing a different look and a completely different vibe. Also, you know, 40 years later, it's going to be a completely different look and vibe. But what did you want to capture about Atlanta, outside the fact that it's sort of where it's basically the Harlem of right now?
I mean, look, there's a culture there that we all know. There's a way they speak. The strip club culture is a big thing, so, you know, that's one of the first places we go. But it's my version. It's my version of a strip club. It's not. You can't find this place anywhere.
Very much a movie version of a strip club, but in a really great stylistic way. It feels a little like a kind of commentary on something like Belly a little bit, just at least an homage to the idea of, like, this is this movie's idea of this world that you.
Well, I wanted everything. I mean, just in general, I wanted everything to be Superfly. It was the directive I gave to all the departments. So the guns are really like, what's that gun? What's that place? What's that car? I want people to go to the movie and just always wonder about everything in it, where most movies are like, oh, well, we didn't want to overpower the story with the lighting. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, overpower it. Let's go. So
what's the conversation make? What is that? I don't know. It's Superfly.
Yeah, completely. Absolutely everything in the movie.
So finding this character, you said that you wanted someone that you could be friends with, but were also scared of. What about this character scares you?
I think just his seriousness when it comes to people that he loves. I think there's a thin line between love and hate, and I feel like he feels the same way about me as I do about him and Georgia and all of these people. Is that the minute that I'm threatened, he's ready to kill anybody, and I feel like it's the same way for me. But yeah, I think the scary part is, like, you just don't expect it because he's like this guy, and he's like, even in the movie, the guy's like, oh, you pretty boy. He has no idea that I could, like, break his jugular real quick. You know what I mean? So I think that's what's scary about somebody is when you never know what's coming. You know, somebody coming at you like this, crazy. You won't be as scared of
That's
somebody.
also hard to find as a performer, someone who is radiates a certain amount of swagger and a certain amount of has a presence that is threatening, but at the same time plays everything very close to the chest.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. I'm glad it turned out the way that it did. I definitely tried hard. But yeah, no, it was fun, man. I had a blast, and we all were able. I think being able to work with these guys is what made it what it is for sure.
Is that something that you were nervous about, sort of finding the eyes? Because he always has to have eyes, like he can take care of whatever's happening around him.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that's probably the hardest part. And I think the silence and the stillness within Priest is something that I really struggle with. As me as a person, I'm very outgoing. I'm all over the place. And Priest is the exact opposite of that. He's laid back. He's always the quietest guy in the room. And you know, he doesn't speak unless he needs something, unless he has something he needs to say. And I think that was something that really helped me grow as an actor and just as a person in general. Because that's what happens when you're quiet. People will listen more. You know.
Jason, last time I talked to you, you talked a lot about liking to improvise on set. When you get to play a character like this, who's kind of the wild card, are you just ripping through, just improvising?
Yeah. Normally, X is like, give me 1 or 2 on book, and then the rest just rip it out the frame. You know what I mean? Go ahead and do what you want to do. And it's good because you sort of...
Well, character like
you
this.
find a little something extra sometimes. You know what I mean? It's just it's good to give yourself options. But with a character like this, he could potentially say anything. You know what I mean? It could be funny or it could be very threatening. You know what I mean? So it was good to be able to sort of cycle through that and play with the different options. You know what I mean? Because improv is what's up to me. I love it.
That's how you get the most real. Like a lot of the car stuff, the funny things that we did in the car were just us kind of rambling. It'd be late. It'd be 3, 4, 5 in the morning. We're just like, dude.
That was a rough night.
Yeah.
Right.
Do tell.
I mean, look, so we were moving really fast with this. So the whole crew is very experienced filmmakers that have all worked on big budget hit movies. You know, one guy did Mad Max, another guy did The Avengers, and these guys just came off Black Panther. So everyone had been doing this for decades. But our schedule was crazy. We only had...
It's true. They're all in Atlanta now. Like, all of the best crew is in Atlanta.
Everyone's in Atlanta.
Now.
And our schedules are nuts. We'll go from a day shoot to a night shoot to a day shoot to a night shoot. So your body, there just comes a point, especially when you're grown. I mean, you're all young, but I mean, I'm 42, bro. You can't, you know what I'm saying? There just comes it's just the body just can't handle that. So that day that the scene where Priest tells Eddie that he wants to get out of the game, I mean, I can barely remember. We were wrecked, yo. We were all wrecked. It was later.
He had to give us a pep talk that night. Like,
You turn.
Yeah, we pulled up. That was a coffee truck night. We literally got a coffee truck and pulled it up.
People were dead.
everybody, we was
Load up,
dying.
y'all.
It was like, Lord.
Coffee truck right around the corner. Get it?
Now, you come from a music video background. Obviously, you've done a feature or two. How many features? You've done one or two features?
I did one
Excuse me.
independent. I did a TV movie, but
Right,
both of
excuse
them
me.
much smaller day count.
Well, I would say that oftentimes when music video directors move into features, people like to say like, oh, they left their music video past behind, or they left the style behind, or style over substance. And I feel like with this, you're like, no, I'm a music video director, and I'm putting all of that into this movie.
I reject that whole idea that somehow music videos are a lesser art form.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's another form of filmmaking. It's something that's very engaging, very free. As a director, there is no other medium that gives you that kind of freedom. So I love where I'm from and what I did. Just because y'all think it might be something, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, exactly.
Right.
So I embraced what it was and just moved forward with it. And like I said, this is Superfly. It gotta be Superfly. Down from the camera, the lighting, everything about it. We really put a spin on it that just made it a little bit more.
No, there's a crew, sort of the rival crew in the film. I think are they called? They're not called Snowflakes, are they?
Snow Patrol.
Snow Patrol.
Snowflake.
Can I ask where? Yeah, I don't think
Why did I
Snowflake
think
works
that?
in this cultural climate.
Snowflakes up in here.
Where did where did Snow Patrol come from?
Snow Patrol is... The idea was that they are the opposite of Priest and his crew. They're drug dealers that...
Flashy as all hell.
Very flashy. It's very public. Everyone knows what they're doing. They're not really trying very hard to hide it. A bit of influence from those BMF days. The BMF Black Mafia family had a billboard in Atlanta. Yeah, like if you want to talk about ballsy.
Started Make It Rain. Like,
Yeah,
legit.
they straight up put a billboard. They'd have like zoo animals at their birthday parties. Like they're really lavish. The mandem out there are like, yo, strippers were able to open like beauty salons after BMF will come through and change your life. Right. For real. Like you know what I'm saying? You collect your money and open a business after they came through. So they're really big, flashy, big spenders. So we took this opportunity to do that because again, like I said, in the original movie we really broke it down. In the original movie, Priest gets attacked by 2 junkies. and he chases him down and gets the money. And that's kind of the incident that makes him say, maybe this life isn't for me anymore. But I just couldn't believe that a drug dealer in Atlanta that's making millions of dollars is anywhere to get attacked by junkies. Right. But we said, all right, well, these are people in the world of drugs. So what else could it be? What fits our reality now? And that brought in rival drug dealers. And that became, well, what if they're a crew? What if they're flat? And that became a juxtaposition between Priest and his guys versus the Snow Patrol kids. And we just, that's how a lot of our new storylines evolved, out of what's real and then where can it go.
And it strikes me that as soon as you came up with Snow Patrol, you were just like, that's great. We can do so many visual things with that, and it's going to be really fun.
And it helps to remove this from reality. I didn't want to make a movie that young kids would watch and see their own world and really see themselves as in, like, come home from the movie like, I need to get the neighborhood popping. We're not rough enough. I was like, I didn't want to put that out there. So we really exist in. They live in mansions, and they're like, everything's bigger.
The reality of dealing and the reality of a lot of it is sort of kept outside of it. Yeah.
If you're looking for like a really in-depth, if you're looking for some drug dealing pointers, Superfly is not the movie for you. You know what I'm saying? we're way more Fast and Furious than we are
the movie
Sicario.
Because I am looking for some point. No, sorry. There's a scene in the film. I hope this isn't a spoiler, but there's a fight scene. Can we talk about the fight scene that we were talking about in the green room, the store?
Oh no, we can't. We can't. This is a spoiler.
Okay, we won't talk about who's in it, but can we talk about the fact that you set one in an empty
little bit?
store?
Yeah, we listen. Here's the key for this movie. The feedback we've gotten over maybe 3 test screenings and now critic screenings and building this up, you don't know what's going to happen next. There's really a lot of twists and turns. There's really a lot of surprising moments that come hit you. So this is not the movie where you're going to start it off so, oh, he's going to this and she's going to that, and then that's going to happen, and then you're waiting for your predictions to come true. It ain't like that. This will definitely have you surprised.
And before we move on to audience questions, you getting the chance to use Curtis Mayfield in a montage, it's so great. I mean, I've seen Mayfield's been used a number of times in different montages, and any time it's used, it's almost hard to not have that take you out of the movie because the song is so good. Right. Yeah.
But this is the music he made for Superfly, so we have a right to this in the right kind of way, and we use.
You have to tip your hat to it, I mean,
you have to.
The music has sort of lived on beyond the movie, I think.
Yeah, there's so many elements in the original Superfly that have lived on. The hair, the car, the fashion, the music, the story, all these things resonate. So I made sure that we addressed all those points. So you got the hair, you got the fashion, we went and dealt on all that.
How did you figure out the new music for the soundtrack? Did you want to try to create a sort of a new Superfly soundtrack? I
didn't want to compete. So again, going through and say, what are the elements? What are the things that make this movie? And one of them was the music. I didn't want to I didn't want to compete with the soundtrack. Hey, let's do a new Freddy's Dead. Let's do a new Fisherman. Let's do a new. We didn't do that. We said, what did Curtis do for this film? And he provided a singular artistic vision. He provided a soundtrack that was a commentary on the things that were going on in the film. So I wanted someone that could do that for us. So we brought Future in to be that vision, to have that commentary. So, and I feel that's why it works. And again, the commentary, people really enjoy, love the music, because we weren't trying to play catch up and run beside one of the best pieces of music ever made. We just took the essence and the meaning of it and the thought process behind it and reapplied that, and we made something that feels right for what it is.
That said, the Future music is pretty fantastic as well, and he is very representative of Atlanta. So
yeah, he's Atlanta. He's the new sound, and No Shame is out now, and that's really the theme of what this movie's about.
Shout out to X for putting me in the video.
Yeah, you didn't know that was coming, right?
I wasn't ready for that. I was like, I'm in a video with Future.
That was our
I was lit. I was lit.
That was all those shots was what we were setting up to see who was gonna wear what, how it was gonna look, and so that's how we were doing it. So that's cool how it came off.
Like, I'm gonna use it for something. I ain't showing him. Yeah, I'm gonna use it for something.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna waste it. Yeah, you do for folks who don't. You have a hair and makeup test. You try out clothes and we try some makeup. So that footage in the No Shame video was the first time we straightened the hair. Yeah. That's what we shot to show the studio and say, this is what we're gonna do. And then when we made the video, I'm like, you know what? Let's use that. Let's not waste that footage.
Don't waste anything.
Don't waste anything. Recycle, y'all.
We got for questions in the audience here. Who's got a question right here?
Hey, so you're all black men on the stage currently. I wanted to know what it's like being like black men in the entertainment industry and making sure you're like succeeding as best as possible when we live in a world that's dominated by white people?
Let me take this, guys.
It actually feels really good. You know what I mean? Because we're starting to put ourselves in position to be able to tell our stories properly. You know what I mean? Because it's like a system. You know what I mean? And you can't get mad that we're not winning Oscars if nobody's voting. That's black. You know what I mean? Or that's young even. You know, so we're starting to put ourselves in position to just be able to tell the stories properly and be proud of what we're doing. You know what I mean? And then when people look at us, they can say, hey, this person, because my entire career, it always baffles me because I always thought that I would have to change the person I was in order to be accepted. You know what I mean? And all I had to do really was lock in and be comfortable with myself in order to be accepted. You feel me? So
Message.
You know. You did, yeah. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it right now. That's how I feel.
I totally agree. When you look at it and you know, a lot of people are like, well, I want to be the best black actor. I want to be the best black musician. It's like when you just focus on being the best and being, you know, just putting good product out, that always will speak louder than anything that you could say. So whenever whether you're on screen or whether you're in the studio, whatever you're doing, if you make sure that the quality of the work is exceptional and great, it will always, you know, live past any of that. So, yeah, whether you're black, white, brown, you know, it don't matter. Let's just be and do great work.
I mean, I feel the same way. Look, at the end of the day, the art pushes through, and you can't deny what you feel when you look at a good piece of art, and this is an artistic business. So regardless, it's doubling down on the art, doubling down on the craft, and letting that shine through. Look, my mother told me a long time, you got to be twice as good just to be equal. This is the way this world works. Hallelujah. It is what it is. It is what it is, brother. You know what I mean? So again, so even more so that it's craft, discipline. These things are the real key ingredients to pushing past barriers that might be put in front of you.
Next question.
Hi, I have a question. Do you guys have done any stunts in this film?
I did all my own stunts in this movie, except the driving.
We kind of both did our own stunts. I had one point where like they kind of used the stunt guy, but X wasn't buying it, so they threw me back in there. Yeah, but it was fun, man. We had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah, a lot of fun. I did martial arts for 10 years. I've done capoeira, which is African Brazilian martial art, for those of you who don't know. But I trained that for 10 years, and so that kind of helped. And we had to be there like 2 weeks before we started in pre-production. And we just, you know, were able to rehearse and just learn different moves, jiu-jitsu, boxing, and a few different things. But it's the best, man, to be able to see the actor do it, you know? Because I feel like since I've been in the industry, every time I watch a movie, I'm so critical. And I'm like, that's somebody's head. That's a completely different person. His hair's not like that, or you can just tell it's someone else. So it looks nice to be able to see the movie and, you know, see that's actually us doing it. You know, I threw him against the couch and yelled cut, and he was like, stop, why? Because I thought I heard him. I was like, bro, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I was like, bro, I'm acting.
Yeah.
This is what I'm supposed to
I was
do.
like, you okay, bro?
You okay? Like, dude.
He went for it. He threw himself hard into that couch. I was like,
Next question.
Hi, Director X. I wanted to know, with all the artists that you work with, how do you get them to believe in your
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I knew it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
You handled it well at first. You were stoic at first.
Now, I wanted to know, with all the artists that you work with, how do you get them to believe and go for your vision and your ideas that you bring to the table? And for Jason, with all the roles that's placed upon you, how do you choose which ones that you go and you take?
You want to go first, X? Yeah.
Look, now it's a little different. I'm old school. I've been in the game a long time. I've been shooting videos for about 20 years, so people they're expecting me to be who I'm going to be. Earlier in the game is a little different. I started directing, really doing bigger budget videos when I was 24. So, you know, people didn't know I would show up, and I've literally had like the craft service lady say like, "Hey, go pick me up some, go get some." You know what I mean? They just didn't know. But again, when it comes to art, it always comes back to what you're doing. And then, look, here's the facts. Even at this level, you know, at some point, you might find yourself as the one dark face around a table full of white folks, and that you'll just feel this doubt. Even with your resume, I'll be there, and there's just a little doubt. Like you could feel, does he really know what he's doing? Till you get to the job and they see you and they go, oh, wow, he knows. And then that, it kind of just wipes it clean, and then we're all back on track together. Again, this is the reality of the world, and there was a time not long ago when we wouldn't even get to be around that table, let alone be running a set. So you embrace what you got, and just, it is, what we're dealing with. So it's a lot of that. When you, in all these, so women have to deal with it to a certain degree. You know, people of color deal with this. I mean, in the poor oppressed white male. Oh my goodness, must be hard out there. But
I deal with it because I'm stupid and they just don't want to hear what I have to say. I mean, you know.
But it was at the end of the day, what always comes down to what I was saying before: art, the craft, your dedication to the craft, your ability as an artist, and then your dedication and discipline to that. And when people see that, they go, oh, okay. Because there's always levels of proving yourself, even beyond the executives that might have given you the job. Then you walk on and your crew's looking at you like, man, this is the director? Fuck out of here. There's always someone who's giving you a look like, you? Ugh. And then once they see it and they see that it's real, people click into position and they start rocking with you.
Yeah. There's also that thing when you're a director too, not everybody on the crew is understanding exactly how each shot is going to go into something. Yeah. And so even then, if you haven't established yourself, there's going to be people on the crew that are going, what is he doing that for? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, you really, it is a leadership role. And if people don't feel they're being led, then there becomes to be dissension. So again, once you get back onto the craft and the discipline and really studying what you're doing, and people will get it. If they see it, they'll know what it is, and then they'll lock in.
Yeah. And for me, I feel like with all the roles that come my way, I just try to get more and more creative and challenge myself more and more, because, like, Eazy-E was dope, right? But the first time, like, because I always, like, sneak into my movies, like, 2-3 weeks after they've been out and just look at people and see how they feel, what they thinking, you know what I mean? So one day, like, I'm in Chicago and I'm leaving out of Kong Skull Island, and somebody's like, man, look at Eazy-E. And I'm like, yo, I was just in this movie for, you know what I mean? Or like, people be like, man, look at Eazy-E playing Ronzel. You know, so I'll be like, damn, what can I do? You know, so like a lot of times I just like try to focus on just showing all my different layers. You know what I mean? And I try to get more and more creative every time I do that. And it's hard not to take those steps back, you know what I mean? Because they called me for the Michelle movie. They called me for the Tupac movie. They're like, let's do Straight Outta Compton 2 with flashbacks to Eazy-E. You know what I mean? I'm like, Lord, guys, just let it go. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to,
Someone really pitched that?
Absolutely. And I was
Fantastic.
like, oh my God. I've had people
that.
pitch, like, they wanted me to come do like a holographic thing. You know what I mean? Like they put dots all over my body and then make this holographic version of like, so I could go on tour with NWA. I'm like, guys, no. I'm an actor. I have a job. Like, what do you guys think I'm doing? You know what I mean? I guess they just figured that I was just gonna, you know. Yeah, like old boy play Biggie. He been Biggie like 3 times. He be at the club. I'm Biggie. Like, come on. You know what I mean? It's all good. It's all good. I just try to switch it up as much as I can, you know?
And I think you absolutely do. I think your role in the Shy is a completely different performance than we've seen you do. He's a fairly regular guy just trying to get through his everyday life.
Right. He's somebody who you want to see win, you know what I mean? Everybody's like, we like Brandon. I'm like, he's kind of scary, but whatever.
Next question.
Congratulations, guys. I know you lit with the music, so did you get to do some music on this, or you got some new music coming out? And what was the major difference between this and doing a film, like doing a film and doing music videos, other than the budget?
Yes, I do have. I'm working on a new album right now, Rough Drafts Part 2, which I'm gonna try and put out in September. Yeah, so I'm always grinding. Always, whenever I'm not on set, I'm at home working in the studio. Always trying to get some creative juices flowing for sure.
You diggity schmig.
You diggity schmig. Yeah, directing. And I've been trying to be on my Director X. All my videos from the first album, Rough Drafts Part 1, I've directed. So I'm just trying to get more into that game and eventually, move to features and grow that way too.
I mean, look, the major difference between a music video and a feature film is time spent, and this one being a bigger picture. So we shot for 38 days. We spent months editing, and this is an accelerated release date. When we tell other folks in the business that we finished shooting March 9th and we're coming out June 13th, their eyes, they just don't quite compute the words we're saying.
I didn't know that. That's wild.
Right.
This movie was greenlit.
How did that happen?
It was greenlit in November. We were shooting January 16th. We wrapped March 9th. We released June 13th. Theaters everywhere. Cameras. But yeah, man, this
How
movie.
did that happen? Or can you say, like, what?
We just had to get it done. Look, I come from. That's the one thing music videos train you for. Actually, I think a lot of what they try and give us as a negative is actually our positives. I could literally get a phone call tonight and Drake say, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow?" You know, I got a video and it's blowing up, and I got to shoot it right now. Like, you have all these crazy phone calls. I've literally had these kinds of conversations. So
Was Hotline Bling like that?
no, Hotline Bling, we had some prep time. We had to build those sets. But it can go everywhere from here's a normal shoot to absolute chaos from beginning to end. No matter, just everything's nuts. So this is actually kind of calm for me. You know, no one tried to kill me. No one threw. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah, I have stories. We'll drink later. We'll talk.
God, I want these stories so bad. Can I ask what would you say was the most chaotic music video ever directed that also ended up being maybe one of the biggest or one that everybody really knows?
What was something a little closer to now? I mean, if I want to go old school, Foxy Brown was the first person that comes to mind. Who remembers Foxy Brown?
Yeah, I remember Foxy Brown. Yeah.
A Foxy Brown video was always an experience. It was it was always madness. But recently, Kendrick Lamar, the King Kunta. We did King Kunta. We shot that at the swap meet, the Compton swap meet, and it was really close to when it got torn down. And Compton is two places between day and night. So in the daytime, it was just love and Compton, and everyone's out having a good time. The moment the sun went down, someone got stabbed. The police were like, and you're done. All right? Everyone leave right now. Yeah, nighttime. That
Somebody
place
got shot straight out of Compton while we was doing that.
Exactly.
It was like, nah, we got something to do with the movie. They was like, this don't. Keep it going. I was like, whoa. Nigga, damn, for real? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, Compton gets popping. The moment the sun goes down, boy, it's not a game over there.
One more question.
Hi. I wanted to know what has working with this movie, or how has working with this movie impacted you, and what impact do you hope that it has on people?
One thing that I really hope gets across to anybody who sees it, for me, is the unity between men, especially young black men. I feel like we're always trying to outdo each other or one-up each other, and it's hard for us to show love. And I feel like him and I's relationship in the movie kind of shows that it's impossible to be at the top or impossible to do anything without togetherness and oneness amongst each other. So that's one message I hope people really take in.
Yeah, I just hope, people look at it and see themselves. You know what I mean? Like, I want young kids to be able to, dream big, because that's what Superfly meant to me. It meant, it was a state of mind. You know what I mean? It's something that you could constantly thrive for and be like, let me get myself together. Because even though it's drug dealers, it make you think, I could touch that at a young age. I could do that at a young age. You know what I mean? And I want people to feel motivated. You know what I mean? When they see me and Trevor doing it, you know what I mean? When they know X directed it, it's a movement. You feel me? I just want people to just, especially our young black people, you know what I mean? Just be confident in whatever you do. You feel me? Because I ain't had the most schooling in this, you know what I mean? X jumped in the game super early. Most people who I know be like, little X? He directed this, you know what I mean? Because you know what I mean? They just saw him come in so early. So I hope that we move people enough for them to be like, you know what? I'm going to have some get up and go by myself. And whatever goal I have, I'm going to just try to reach it, you know what I mean? And I love your hair, by the way. It's lit.
I mean, I just want people to be entertained. I want the walkway to be a good time at the movies. This is not a deep geopolitical dissertation upon the, you know what I'm saying? That's not what we're doing here.
Wakanda!
The GDP of the Scandinavian economic, it's like, no. This is...
flashy fun with really great music.
Exactly. It's fun. It's entertaining. I mean, being what it came from, being a black cast, we do touch on some of the issues that are happening today. But it was not what we were going to do. We want people to go in, have a good time, yell at the screen, eat your popcorn, have fun, talk about it. Like it's sexy and fun and exciting. So that's really the main responsibility that we have is to the entertainment. And like I said, I played my bit, again, not trying to make this too hood-tastic, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man.
Can you talk about why that was so important for you, again, to not make it hood-tastic?
Because look,
I whited that up, guys. Come on, give me a break. That was performing.
It was good. It was good.
Look, I remember, look, when Mobb Deep, who remembers Mobb Deep? You remember I remember, so when Shook Ones came out, I got a couple homies that lost their ass mind. Like, they went crazy trying to kind of fill some kind of idea in their head of what it meant to be in the hood and just all these images. Because since we don't see each other on the screen a lot, so there's this temptation. Boys in the Hood was this depiction of what life was in South Central, but for people outside of it, they're like, oh, we soft. We need to get going. You know, I didn't want to make something that would make people feel that way. So we just moved ourselves out of the hood and just kept it. Like I said, we're way more Fast and Furious. The bad guys were all white. It's an action movie.
That's what I also love about it. Is that most movies like this are very, you know what I mean? And this is very intelligent. Everybody has, something to offer, and it's just more organized. And it, like I always say, it's like Goodfellas, like a Godfather. It's like a really dope, like, dang. It's going to be one of those where people like refer back to a line from it when they're talking to their kid, like how my dad does to me. Everything is from a movie, and I'm just like, what? I think I heard. Yeah, no, it's from a film. So.
Well, guys, congratulations on the film. It comes out June 13th, you said, right?
Yes.
June 13th.
June 13th in theaters.
Everybody, please give them a round of applause. And go see Superfly June 13th.
Thank you.
Thank you.